Greetings all, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and jump back into it here. Thank you for waiting, appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, thanks for waiting that 30 seconds, minute, I don't know, however long the ad was. Let's jump into it. Hello everyone.
Hello. Yay, Unison.
Hooray, Unison.
Unison -2.
I'm actually just scrolling
here.
up through this, I think Devin's probably around somewhere. Scrolling through all your little posts here on Discord.
I've been busy.
Yeah, I see that.
We have the trucker type
Yep.
that GoGo goes for,
Yeah.
and
And GoGo actually on top of her ship there, see her?
That is correct,
Just purple hair and one eye.
except with
Yeah, that
one
was a
eye
couple,
instead of one
years
arm.
ago. When I had purple hair instead of green.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Eyes back.
Perfect. So, barring anything else of note that you guys do while approaching the planet Furial, we can go ahead and arrive there. And you arrive, luckily, as fate would have it, during a period of time where the Shushu group is actually open for travel to and from their cities. And you guys need to go to the capital city of that, which is New Panlong. So you guys go and you approach your planet and you get your clearance orders and you guys arrive in Panlong. Nope, sorry. New Wuhan. Panlong was totally the place.
GoGo got drunk and landed us on the wrong side of the planet.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my bad. We got it worked out though.
This is why I monitored your intake of hooch.
Yes, right, exactly. This is why there's always a monitor of
The rationing.
intake. Yeah. So remember New Wuhan? We were here very briefly at one point, where you guys traveled in the political motorcade all the way from the landing area up here in the top left of our screen. You traveled all the way from there, all the way down through the streets, and you drove by this like large emergency zone, and over this very grand like grav bridge, like huge grav engines that like powered it up, and it was a marvel of engineering for anyone that cares about that sort of thing, of course. So probably just Boomer. And upon traveling through there, you heard some news stories about, like, you heard, like, the president speak, and it was, like, translated for you guys, and about how, we'll overcome this disaster, all the nice political hoo-ha-ha that happens when natural disasters occur. Or, not so natural, who knows. And you guys traveled through there, and you went to Capitol Row, and you were put up in, essentially, what is the, like, visitor area of the guest rooms of the White House or Capitol building. That would be the equivalent in the United States. And when you get back, when you got there, you were put up in some nice rooms and estates, and you guys were given like a briefing on what your mission was going to be, and all of that occurred, if I remember correctly, about a month ago, actually, almost exactly. I think it was the 14th of February you guys got all that information, because I remember making a joke about Valentine's Day. So it was almost exactly a month ago that you guys were here on planet. So a lot has changed in a month, right? Like, there's cleanup in a month, obviously isn't going to be done, but there's going to be a lot more travel. People are going to start getting back to everyday lives if they can, if their homes and livelihoods and lives weren't taken. And also, there's going to be a lot more, like, accurate information on what's going on and what happened and that kind of stuff. So as you guys land in your landing zone and you lock up the ship, do you take friend with you, or do you leave him on the ship?
Sorry, I was chewing. I leave him on the ship.
Okay. All right. And so, like, as you're leaving, you give him like the same like instructions. Like, what do you tell him as you're leaving?
Same thing as last time. Do as you please. Make sure to feed yourself, and leave Stanley alone.
Okay, you tell him to leave Stanley alone. Okay, cool. Awesome. So Stanley's not going to get any exercise. Sorry. He will have no activities. He'll just be left to his own devices. He'll get very depressed. I
assume that he's just gonna chill in the vents.
He actually just latches his tentacles. Yeah, he actually just latches his tentacles to the vent so that the minerals can just blow directly down his body.
Like a windsock.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
That's a really great image.
That's a slightly disturbing image.
Definitely.
Yeah, and just imagine where his entrails go.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah, y'all are breathing that in. Cool.
How big at this point are the Stanley poops?
I mean, they're not so
About
much
as big as Nassau.
They're right, about as big as Nassau. No, Stanley poops are they're real stringy and long. Kind of like have you ever seen like lobster poop? That kind of like that nasty like stringy long poop sack.
But he eats dust. It's probably just like a different colored dust.
Yeah. You know, with all the nutrients gone out of it.
Yeah. Like what does dust turn into when it's not dust anymore?
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly. So, you guys arrive at the landing area, and I assume that you sent message, like, you sent message to Dash N, whoever that may be, if that's even the right person that you're supposed to go to, and you sent message to Giorgio as well, like in system, on our way. So when you guys arrive and you land your ship, there's a few moments where you guys are like securing or whatever, and an individual in like a business attire suit, very Secret Service looking, he approaches the ship, and I assume Oscar or Boomer would probably be like, or Fortune, one of the two of you are probably like the ones that have the least amount to do when battening down the ship. And he would approach the two of you and say, "Are you the group with Westwind?"
Oh yeah, that's us.
You're here to pick up Giorgio Smith, and he kind of like looks at a piece of paper, like looks at a little like flip book that he's got. Giorgio Smith is your passenger that you are here to pick up?
Yes, he is. What has he done now? Do we have to pay bail?
He just shakes his head. He's like, "No, but we will provide you escort and transportation to where he resides currently."
All right.
And he like goes off, and you see that he joins like a group of like 4 or 5, like 5 actually, similarly dressed individuals, and like Oscar, and Fortune too. These are the things that you pick up on just naturally. Yep. They're armed, obviously. They're carrying sidearms underneath their jackets. You can hide it only so well, especially for ones trained in such things. So obviously,
the initial escort was also armed.
Correct. Oh no, they were armed with like
nothing.
They were armed with like SMGs and like They had the SUVs in the front that had the fucking miniguns that come out of the top and shit.
Yeah, this is.
You guys have a much lighter detail than Natalya did.
This doesn't ring any alarm bells.
Yeah.
For Oscar.
And it shouldn't. I just figured I'd let you know.
Oh yeah.
Just in case
information.
Just in case you decide to try and chop all their heads off. They have guns. Cool. So you guys,
we found out as long as they're not shotguns, we might be all right.
Yeah, the shotguns are nasty, man. So you guys secure the ship and you secure the boarding ramp and whatever, and you go, and they fall kind of like in line with you, and they escort you to a bunch of they're like town cars. They're not like the up-armored limos that you rode in the first time, but they're obviously like government vehicles. They don't have like the super black tinted windows. You can see inside of them a little bit. They're like your typical everyday, like if you call for a limo, it's what they send for you. And so like they load you up, and the problem is there's not enough for like all of you to fit in one car, so there's 2 cars. And I assume like Go-Go being the smallest is probably push someone else into the bitch seat, but rides in the 3 people seat. And Oscar being the biggest probably is in the one with 2 people. Oh wait, there's only 4 of you actually. Never mind.
Correct.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, so it's 2 and 2. So you guys are totally good. I was thinking you guys had a tag along because you guys have had one for so long. First it was that poor man in his taxi.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's probably dead now from his wife.
Yeah, or, mutants. So, you guys hop in your vehicles, and now, Oscar, I assume that you guys have, like a folio that you're carrying with information, or... Because I believe that you have some actual, like, hard copy information.
Oscar
and there was a determination whether or not you were going to bring that.
Right. Oscar still has the actual binder that was given to him by the concierge.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In addition to whatever they've... I mean, I assume that everyone kind of has all of the access to the information that they'd compiled.
Yeah.
Like that which is easily replicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The official report plus the binder.
I was more worried about like what you were doing with this folder or binder that you had with these images in it.
He has it.
Okay. All right. That's the important part, is that you have it.
He has it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys begin to drive across town, and you probably arrived maybe like late morning, so you got plenty of time throughout the day. And as you're traveling, it's definitely less chaotic than the first time. Although it takes probably about the same amount of time to get to where you're going, because you're not in cars that push everybody out of the way this time. You're in cars that actually follow traffic rules and stuff. And so as you're traveling through New Wuhan, you see that, again, like I said before, people have kind of returned to their everyday lives. They've gone back to selling things, and they've gone back to things. And just to describe the city again, for those of us that haven't been here in many, many, many weeks, not just in-game, but also out of game, New Wuhan has a lot of buildings that are very resistant to, like, seismic events. It's got a lot of buildings that are very low to the ground. There's very few, like, high-rises or skyscrapers. It's got a lot of buildings that are very structurally sound. They're all built out of, like, this plasteel material that holds them up. Some of it's probably actually Red 5 as, like, a lighter substitute for steel. And in addition to that... everything looks fairly clean and fairly well maintained, and like there's a very good amount of just looks like a pleasant place to live. And as you're traveling through the streets, again, you see a lot more, like there's probably like a Grav school bus that comes by and picks some kids up to go to school, and or whatever. You see some construction workers working on stuff, and as you get closer to like the emergency zone that I described before, this big old zone out here, you can see it definitely gets more congested. There's a lot of like road signs and checkpoints and closed off areas, but there's not that kind of harsh, like, green smoke coming up out of the ground anymore. Because remember, it actually the rifts that were opened up in this part of the city were venting like natural gases out of the planet, and it was causing like a severe bad time over there and polluting a lot, and it was hard to get to areas because of it, even with the advanced technology that they have. Not everybody owns an exosuit that could have gone in and was like helping save people. There's like in the back of the cars, there's like a little hollow vid screen that you guys can like watch TV on, similar to the limos and other like things that you've seen before. And you can see that there are multiple news stations still covering like the event, obviously, but also like you keep flipping through the channels, there's somewhat normal programming has kind of come back as well. So life is slowly returning to normal in New Wuhan. And as you're flipping through, probably maybe one of you finds a news station that's reporting like total numbers and stuff. It looks like the death toll was Not quite as high as the news always anticipates it's going to be. You know, they say in the hundreds of thousands, but it wasn't quite that high. It hasn't broke 4 digits, which is good. It has remained under that, but also, apparently, there are still many sections of the city that have been inaccessible, not necessarily due to, like, the natural gas leaks that have been going on, but due to literally just being inaccessible, being buried under rubble or swallowed up in these caverns, or because it was so close to the lakes, actually, the whole layout of the geography of the land has actually changed. And the lakes have actually filled in certain places, so it's left like a bunch of the lakes dry in the area, and then had these new like rivers and caverns have appeared where like homes and businesses used to be, and they're just completely like submerged underwater at this point. It's all still a fucking mess, to be perfectly honest with you. But, you know, not quite as bad as it was hyped up to be in the very beginning, as normal as what happens with news stations and stuff like that. So as you guys approach through New Wuhan, you drive past the emergency zone. You actually bypass Capitol Row. You drive past the Capitol building, which you saw previously. You know, it's on your right-hand side. You drive past it, and down into what would be like a higher class residential area. They're all kind of like maybe 2-story, but mostly just 1-story, bigger laid out like houses and stuff. And you arrive at the end of like a rotunda, and as you get to the end of that, there's like a large fountain in the middle of the circle that you arrived at, and then at the end there's this huge like sprawling complex of these white like pristine houses.
Oscar is going to go investigate the fountain to see if there are secret passageways underneath it.
Sure, yeah. You just teleport out of the car and arrive at the fountain.
Yeah, no. Okay, sorry. Moving on.
Yeah, and so you guys arrive at this vast like array of like all the same white houses, and it kind of looks like that thing out of I'm trying to think of the name of the movie where there's a bunch of just like they're all exactly the same.
Stepford Wives.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
Isn't that?
Yeah. But they're all very small, like smaller than you would expect. Like if you've ever looked at, here's a good example. If you've ever seen a construction area of like model, like where not model houses, but like community houses where like they build as they come. But if you've ever seen a like full like row built, but nobody actually living there, that's what this looks like. It just looks like tons and tons of houses. Nobody's actually living there, but all the landscaping is exactly the same. All the houses are exactly the same. They're even the same color. Like, they're all identical. There's just rows and rows and rows of them.
And is this, like, does this appear to be new construction?
Yes.
Or does it seem like there hasn't been anyone living there for a while?
It most certainly does. New construction is probably the wrong word, but newly placed. Because the deal with like
relocated,
yeah, right, relocated.
Okay.
Right? So the deal with Wuhan and the way that their buildings are structured is they have to be able to move to and from places rather quickly and rather efficiently. So a lot of times what they do is they actually just get their massive grav engines to just move houses to places. Like, literally just pick up the house, put it on a grav engine, and move it to a place. Yeah, basically like Terran from StarCraft. So yeah, it definitely looks like these have been recently placed, and you can see some movement kind of going into them. And as you get to the end of the circle, at the front, like you can see that like it goes down a hill, and there's no way to drive down there. There's pathways to like walk down there, but you go around the circle, and then at like on the left hand side, there's a larger like complex, or like a larger house, or it looks pretty ritzy, pretty nice, pretty well thought out. And as you arrive there, you can see that there are a couple of the suited men standing outside of the house, like outside the front door, and you can see maybe a couple more like patrolling the yard back and forth as you arrive there. And so they get you out of the car and they begin to walk you up to the front of the house. And
did we ever even establish that where we were going. Is this where Giorgio's been living?
They have not told you anything.
Okay. I guess we're just along for the ride.
Right, exactly. And that's very much how it feels, right? It very much feels like you're not in control of where you're going and what you're seeing.
Well, there was some discussion about Giorgio and going to see him, but we were most definitely not given an itinerary.
Yeah, the discussion went, are you here to pick up Giorgio? You guys said yes, and they said, okay, we'll escort you.
Great.
Yeah. So you have a general idea of where you are, but as far as why you're here or what's actually here, no idea. No clue. So they walk you up to the front of the house, and as they enter, you see one of the suited men go up and begin speaking with the two guards that are there as well. And then they open the doors, and you're all escorted in. And as you're escorted in, you're escorted into a fairly nice like entryway area. And you can see that the house is kind of like got one of those open floor plans where you can see most of it from the entry area, except for like the kitchen and the back bedrooms and stuff. And you can see like in the like family room area, it's got very well furnished, and it's got nice things, and all kind of that plain like white kind of plasteel. And I think the first thing you notice is everything is like attached to the house, right? Like the chairs that come up for like the lounge chairs and lounge couches, they're all like part of the floor almost that comes up like this plasteel, and then they're like cushioned and like upholstered, etc. But you get that feeling of kind of being in like a plastic container almost. Not that any of you have ever been in a plastic container before, but you know what I'm talking about. Like the different contours of the house appear to be all a single like solid piece. And then furnished and like upholstered, and there's things put in different places. There's nothing really like hanging or like free flowing in the house, which gives it kind of this weird like modern feel, right? Like this weird like no straight lines anywhere, no none of that. This weird kind of interesting feel to it. You notice that the AC hits you in the face, and it's really nice and cool in here. But you see sitting in the living room area, there are three individuals. Two of them one of them is very clearly Giorgio, who looks like he's taken on the clothing of the location that he's in, based on the fact that you left him with his like 7 pairs of clothing, and you've been gone for almost a month. And Natalya is also sitting there, and she's like sipping some tea. And she is bedecked not in like her politician fineries, but not quite as casual as when you first met her, kind of in like nice kind of casual clothes, or I should say business casual, probably like a pantsuit of some sort. And the third individual is a rather large man, as far as height and also weight. He's a little bit rotund, but he's one of those guys that like, he looks big, not because he's fat, but probably because he's just a big dude. Like, he's probably got a lot of muscle underneath all that, because he's got to carry himself around a lot. He's got this big kind of scraggly red beard that kind of comes down maybe like 6 inches from his face. His hair is like combed back and kind of slicked back a little bit. And he's got like the big cheeks, and he's basically Irish Santa. Except not quite as fat. Or Scottish Santa would probably be a more accurate term. Just in case you were curious about what I was going for there. You don't recognize that particular individual. But he looks kind of out of place a little bit, because Natalya's very pressed, clean, and Giorgio's kind of the same way, being like the doctor, kind of clean and orderly, and he's a little bit out of place, especially in this like room, so he stands out probably even more to the three of you. And as you guys are escorted in, the guards kind of back off and go to do whatever fucking Secret Service guards do when they're not currently escorting somebody. And Natalya and Giorgio both stand up, and Natalya like quickly like kind of moves to like greet you all, and you see Giorgio like give you all like the narrow eye look, like all of you, and you know it well. Well, maybe Oscar, you may not know it well, but the rest of the crew most certainly knows it well. Like, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Why, you left me on this fucking planet for a month. Kind of look. Gogo doesn't care, obviously.
Gogo's immune to this look.
Gogo's built up a resistance to this look at this point.
I feel like Oscar is perceptive enough to know that he may not know how to deal with it, but he would notice.
Oh no, you see the look.
Yeah.
Like, you still get the look. You're probably just not used to seeing it. Like,
yeah, yes.
His intent is 100% clear. Like, he is not hiding a thing from you. But once you all, like, make the eye contact and you get the look in some degree, he quickly breaks it off and joins over to greet you. And it's all very amicable. Like, Natalya probably embraces all of you one by one and, does the general, like, greeting, like, oh, it's been so long. I hope you guys had a great time, like, et cetera, et cetera. Giorgio probably, like, walks by and, like, shakes hands with you, like, a little bit more firmly than is necessary. But he's got, like, this smile on his face that's clearly, like, a business person smile, not like a, I'm happy to actually, see you here alive. I was hoping you were dead because now I have to kill you myself. Kind of look.
I think Oscar would be pretty genuine in his greeting to Giorgio, whether or not he recognized the daggers that were being stared at him.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, yes, it has been quite a while. How are you?
Yeah. And, he says...
Like
yeah, absolutely. And after, all the greetings are done, Natalya turns around and she says, well, very well. Listen, let me introduce you to this individual here. And she like, guides you over, and she's like, this is Rudolph Christensen. He came to the planet to see if he can help out with the incidents that have been occurring. And he greets you, like, very gruffly and does, like, a small little bow and then, like, holds out his hand, almost as if he's not sure, like, how to address you. Because, like, it was very personable for Giorgio and Natalya, but, like, he's not sure what you're, like, it seems like he's trying to be, like, nice to all customs.
Boomer would immediately just seize his hand with a strong grip.
Yeah, and I think that your hand is a bit dwarfed even in his. And he like, he shakes your hand, and he does the whole, like, shake your hand, he puts his hand on the back of yours, and he's like, yes, it's very nice to meet you. Yes, and he's very soft spoken too, which is I mean, it's the gentle giant kind of trope here, right? Like, it's very soft spoken when he's speaking to you.
So would I assess that this guy can certainly hold his own?
Yeah, he could probably throw you through a window if he wanted to.
Sense? Sure. So he's probably not just helping. Yeah, he's Hodor over here.
Yeah, he's holding doors.
Yeah, I think if Oscar identifies him as someone who has some amount of martial prowess, he would go over and make a point to, like, shake his hand and be like, this is someone who he's liable to be working with.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems that way. He's definitely not a guy. He's not a politician.
Yeah, I mean, not many words exchanged, but he would make a point to go.
Yeah,
be amiable.
Yeah, and I think, like, you greet him, and he probably says, "It is just nice to meet you. Who's going to Roxhartag? It is customary of my people to greet Shriekin with their full names at least first, unless you have a preference."
And he pauses and he says, I am impressed. Oscar will do just fine, though. Thank you.
Very well. We have many Shriekin people on my homeworld. I hope that their customs are not too different from your own. You are from the home planet, yes?
Correct. And you?
I am from a planet far from here. It is... Oh, that's not the one. Hold on. I gotta click on the right one. Yes. It is Satyavati.
Would that ring a bell?
Phew. Culture traveler?
Sure. Could I argue spacer?
Well... you may be able to... Actually, yeah, you could totally roll spacer. It's actually not that far from you.
Wisdom or intelligence?
Intelligence.
No. We flew past.
Yeah. You probably recognize that it's something in, like, the Raimondi cluster, like the planets that cluster around Raimondi,
Sure.
but you've probably never been there, at least don't know the space around it.
Yeah, it's like if you know Boston, you don't know New York.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or
It's I'm aware of it.
Right, it's like if you know, like, what's a good, like, you know Oklahoma City is a city, but if you had to, like, point it out on a map, and with no, like, other identifiers, no roadways, no actual, like, if you just had a map, like a blank map of Oklahoma, you couldn't, like, pinpoint where it was.
Sure. Yeah.
Something like that.
So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
if you're hyper intelligent, maybe, but that was just an example. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I get it. So doesn't particularly ring a bell, but I probably understand that. Yeah, there are some Syriac on wherever the hell you're from. Whatever. Cool.
Yep, and yeah, so he affirms that Oscar is I've known, and I think, like, since you're, like, actually engaging him, he probably says, I have known Natalya for some time. How long have you been in business with her?
Roughly 1 month to the day, give or take.
So you are new to the cause, then.
Yeah, we're part of the cause now.
Yeah, I think maybe he starts to say, like, to question the cause. Like, what do you mean by... And he's like, yes, we are very new to her employ.
Yeah, and I think that, timely enough, she comes over and she, like, places a hand on, like, on Rudolph's, like, arm, and she says, that's enough. We do have business to talk about. We can't just sit here and idle chit-chat all day, Rudolph. And she kind of, like, guides everyone into, like, the sitting area.
I like Rudolph already.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of, like, guides everybody into, like, the sitting area. And I think that, like, she kind of escorts Rudolph. You hear her, like, explain to him. He's like, they have some business with me. If you don't mind, just waiting outside for a moment. I'll be right with you as soon as we just do an exchange, and we'll be good. And he just, like, nods politely, and he like says to you all, he's like, it's very nice to meet all of you. And so Gogo and everybody else, because he talked with Oscar, but everybody else, would you have given him your full name after being introduced to him, or would you even have gone up and introduced yourself at all?
I probably would have given the head nod from across.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, somehow he knew my name prior. I didn't give him my full name, so he has some amount of information on me.
He does.
Yeah.
That was on purpose.
Oh, I'm just yep.
I think go to introduce yourself, full name.
Sure. Yeah. And Boomer.
It just is Boomer.
Okay.
I wouldn't have gotten into any more detail than that.
Yeah, so I think that he would have said, I hope you all have a pleasant stay on Frial. Oscar and Margot Valentine and Boomer and friends thereof. Have a wonderful day. Perhaps we will meet again. And he like turns tail and begins to head out of the door. So now that you're all seated kind of around like what would be like the formal dining area that's kind of been converted to more of like an everyday dining area, you all have like chairs and stuff that they don't pull out, they're actually attached to the floor. So it might be awkward for those of you that are smaller and or bigger to get into them. Because they're designed for like a single like size person, right? Like the average human is what they're designed for. So for Oscar it's probably a little awkward.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think perhaps he like sits on the backrest of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like he's got his feet swung around, but maybe he's kind of just resting on it.
Yep. Yeah, you're like leaning against it.
Well, no, he's not that. I mean, he's not that huge. He'd probably look a little funny, but he'd be able to sit in it.
Yeah.
Margot's feet just barely touch the ground.
You just like you hear like this of her like sliding her feet across because they're just barely touching. Yeah, it's good.
Yep,
I like it.
Kicking them back and forth.
Yep, that's exactly what I pictured. So that's exactly what was in my mind. Cool. So, you guys get there, and after Natalya, you see Natalya, like, everybody sits down, and she says, she's like, give me a moment, and she walks around, and she, like, does, like, a tour of the house, and she comes back, and she kind of, like, massages one side of her head a little bit, and she cracks her neck, and she's like, all right, what have you found?
Boomer. Somebody.
Okay. Well, he would have boot up the horizon with the. Do the windows seem to be covered? Like, are the blinds drawn?
The windows are not covered, but they're also not glass. They're basically plastic, and they're tinted heavily.
Not to put you on the spot there, Will. I just figured you were the tech guy and you were gonna.
I mean, you have the compiled information. Everybody else might have the information they gathered, but like you have the compiled information.
Yeah, not a problem. He would kind of cast a weary glance over towards the window and then just kind of becoming satisfied with its tint level. He'd activate the holo projector on the horizon so it actually projects into the middle of the room with this large holographic display.
A few sparks come out of the holo projector, and then like it gives like this shaky image that slowly begins to like stabilize. Of are you showing like the geographical information right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the geographical information, and you can see Natalya like nodding, and she's telling you to like alter it, like turn it in certain ways and look at certain things. And I assume you like go into we don't need to do it the whole thing, like the full out explanation of like how you acquired this information, etc., like what you saw. So my question is, beyond the bare minimum of what you were instructed to do, which was gather the geographical information and like prime like like specific locations within the city you were sent to. What else do you say about...
No, Boomer gives a full breakdown.
The dark side of Furial.
Like, yeah, the whole 9 yards. This is everything that he came into contact with and broke down, and here are the graphs. This is dimensions. This is 3D representation of what we thought and possibly rendered. Like, the whole breakdown.
Okay.
If everyone just lets Boomer talk, it's maybe 3 or 4 hours of just different holographic diagrams and then pie charts and then flow charts and
but
so like pertaining
breakdowns.
to the city itself.
Yeah, pertaining to the city. Yeah, that's my real question here is like, do you ever expand on the populace, or are you simply talking about physical like infrastructure?
No, he also expands on the populace interactions. Again, things that he would have directly witnessed, or at least was described to him, like going so far as to, they have these meeting sites where food is handed out and possibly medications and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so when he begins to like go into that, does anybody jump in and add their 2 cents? Or do you just allow Boomer to monologue?
You cut out for
Oh, sorry. Does anyone when Boomer goes in and begins going like populist stuff, like begins talking about like, we met some individuals, this was kind of what like the tech was like, this was kind of like when he starts to go into that outside of like the infrastructure and geographical information, does anyone jump in and add their information or interrupt or anything like that?
I'm fortunate's probably just sitting back. I'm trying to get a read on Natalya as she's receiving the information to see if I can figure out if it's stuff she's known or something that catches her by surprise somewhere or something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I don't think that Oscar would stop him short of. So he has. There is information that he's hoping to, extort from her, for lack of a better word, by withholding the actual
Right.
binder and information. Like,
Well,
I think
from what I understand of what Will just said, he's going to explain all of that to her.
Yeah, so I think
I think this is the key difference, though, is that when Boomer explains it, it's just going to be in like the general strokes of this is what I came in contact with, versus Oscar actually has a physical document that says this is what it is.
So
sure, okay,
right. So like, what the card that he is withholding, to be completely out of character here for just a sec, the card that he's holding still is that, mechanistically what appears to be causing this, and instead of saying, oh yeah, we get attacked by some sort of creature, like that is the difference, and I feel like that is still valuable. So long as Boomer doesn't go quite that far, like maybe if he's tiptoeing toward it a little too much, he'd get a nudge on his chair from some invisible force. But of course the chair wouldn't move, so maybe just like
a hand like force grabs your thigh.
Yeah, a gentle smack on the side of the head to be like, no.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Will, but you're going to like, if she asks questions, you're going to expand, right? Like you as Boomer are not withholding any information that you have, correct? Everything that you have and you can explain and she can ask of you and you can answer will be answered no matter what.
Correct. And I fully expect that there is a point where Oscar just like
because the
and
deal
Boomer
is like
that.
Boomer, being who he is, could accurately describe exactly what things look like, exactly what things, how things acted, which is important. Like he could 100% accurately describe all of that, and there would be little need for your evidence.
But so if we go back, and the rest of the crew, please correct me if I'm wrong. I had believed that it was not the wish of the crew to actually share that information.
Well, I don't remember whether or not you guys actually had a conversation about it. I think we had a player conversation about that. I'm not sure we had a character conversation about that.
Okay, well,
we can retcon and go back to you guys flying into Furial orbit. Like maybe this is a good way to have a flashback. If you guys all gather on the bridge, outside of Furial orbit, where you guys like to talk about secret things because you don't do it on planet ever.
Thank you, Boomer.
You are welcome.
Yeah, is there a conversation had about, like, between the characters about, like, how much are we going to give up?
So initially, Oscar, just to put it out there, Oscar was not. He did not have any intention of sharing that. They were going to complete this to the minimum and just get paid and cut out. Things have changed, and now I think on a personal level, he's willing to go against that to learn something from her.
The only thing that is interested in is to know if she knows about the mutants that are attacking, and if she does, maybe try to figure out how she knows about it. But that's about it. I don't have any intention of withholding any information or anything like that. But maybe withholding it just enough to see if she mentions it first, kind of thing.
Sure. So maybe, I mean, does Gogo have any horse in this race, or does she not particularly?
I think that if she probably would have slightly protested in that she doesn't really, like, she's not a big Natalya fan to begin with. And giving her all this information probably would have irked her a little bit, but she knows that you somehow have a plan, even though she probably doesn't understand exactly what you're going to do, and will probably go with it at this point.
So, okay, so she at least would understand that whatever I'm doing is for good reasons,
Yes,
or if not good,
reason.
important.
Yes, important reasons that she doesn't currently understand, but I think she would have voiced her concerns and then would have been like, okay, well, you know, you haven't steered us wrong so far, so sure.
So, and Jordan, maybe what it sort of seems like is that maybe at some point during, since nobody is overtly opposed to giving her this information,
correct,
which I had expected was the case, maybe at some point during the natural course of the conversation, Oscar would just say something like, you know, that's, you know, we've completed what you sent us over to do, and then some. I have further information, but, you know, we need to perhaps renegotiate our terms, like something along those lines, as Boomer's rattling things off.
So you're perhaps looking to get more out of this by providing more information, or is that just the point?
Information. Yeah. The point is, I need something other than credits from her.
Ah, okay, all right. So you're attempting to, and blackmail isn't the right word here, obviously.
Oh, absolutely not. I am trying to. He would put this forth.
Exchange information for information.
You're attempting to bargain additional, like the additional information that you have for more than what the original goal was.
We went above and beyond. We were paid to get geographical data, and we are now delivering something outside of the original mission statement.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. So we flash out of the flashback, right? And we're back in there.
So
and Boomer is just finishing up with like the geographical information and intent, and she seems very attentive and very interested, and she even, I think, probably takes a few notes, like and she seems, I mean, this seems like all like good information. She's happy with what you've given her so far. So I guess my only question is, do you like do the, oh yeah, and we got kind of caught in a weird storm while we were there, but you know, it didn't really apply to the mission. Is that like the approach that you take, or is it like, you know, also we found some other things out, but you know, we may need to renegotiate. Like, do you just not even say anything at all about anything? Like, might be relative.
No, Oscar, I don't think is slick enough to put it forward like with the storm, to allude to the storm or anything. He would simply say, we, you know, once Boomer finishes up his summary, he would say, I expect you'll be excited to have information well beyond our mission parameters, but
cool.
I worry we may have to negotiate new terms for this.
Yeah. So
I feel like at that point, maybe though, Margot probably would have been like, "Oh yeah, tell her about the," and then like, you know, unknowingly maybe be the one to give that information instead of Oscar. To try to get her attention.
You do the, oh yeah, we were caught in the,
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, tell her about that thing.
I mean,
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
That sort of thing. To try to help.
So I think that.
So you mentioned the storm.
Yeah, the storm.
And the.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of like a combination of both. Like, now she knows what you're talking about, and she understands that you are attempting to garner some form of payment from this.
Yeah, I'm trying to help this role.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, it's not going to be a roll yet. I think there's some more RP here, because after she's done with that, and Boomer, you do notice she's particularly interested in the details that you have about the power plant. That seems to be a point of focal concern for her. as opposed to like the military complex and stuff like that. Because reasonably, that's all stuff they have already, right? Like they have satellites in orbit that can easily just look at that shit. But like the details about the power plant complex are definitely a thing. The details about like the rationing food are definitely a thing that she takes note in for sure. And Fortune, you pick up on that too, right? Because you were specific. In fact, probably Boomer doesn't pick up on it so much because he's just busy like fucking dumping information out of his mouth post haste in projectile vomit format. So you're probably the one that picks it up, Fortune. Like, oh, like, note, she's interested on the power plant. Note, she's interested in, like, the living conditions and state of people.
Yeah.
Like, those two things out of all the, like, seems like the geographical information was like, cool, that was the mission. Awesome. We got that. And then, like, those two bits are like, oh, okay, that's cool. Tell me more about that. Or, when you went there, what did you notice about, like, their traffic or, whatever.
Yeah.
Those two things. For sure. But when we get to the point of where Oscar and Gogo do the slam dunk thing, or alley oop, and then Gogo slams it home, obviously. I think that the first thing you get, Oscar, is like you get an arched eyebrow a little bit, and I think that the room probably gets a little more intense. Like there's kind of a cold air that kind of falls over the room when you say that. I think she says to you, Oscar, she says, are you implying that we need to pay more for the information? For this new revelation that you have discovered?
Hey, no. I would like your assistance in a personal matter, however. You may be get out of here, Devin. You may be in one of few positions that can give me such information.
Yeah, so I think that she, like, her eyes kind of narrow a little bit, and she looks around to the rest of the crew. What do you, like, so I understand that Oscar has not told you that this was a thing. So when Oscar asked for, like, a personal favor in return for this extra information you have, with the exception of Boomer, probably, is that a little bit, like, shocking to the rest of you?
Yes, definitely, but I'm gonna play it off like, because we have to seem like a group, so I'm gonna play it off like I knew about it.
Yeah.
But inside, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think that's the appropriate reaction. And I think Giorgio is not as cool, right? And he probably kind of like frowns, and he looks at Oscar, and he looks at the rest of you, and he's like a little bit taken aback by this. And Natalya goes, well, my assistance is not cheap. I have a great many things to do, and a great many responsibilities. But if your information is worthy, perhaps I can assist. Depending on what it is, of course. But exchange of information for information is always sketchy. Who tells who first? Who does what first? Do I help you halfway? Do you help me halfway? Perhaps if I knew what in reference your information was, I could better assist you in letting you know if it would be worth my time.
We were assaulted, locked up in one of the hotels over our stay. There were creatures. I have a good deal of information on said creatures, their origins, so forth.
Okay.
In good,
Yeah, I think everybody needs to roll me a perception check when you mention that.
I passed it.
Okay, 7 from Oscar, 9 from Boomer, 6 from Gogo. Ooh, no, Fortune, you're...
I'm supposed to be watching. This is the only thing I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Your streak continues.
Man, you're not doing good.
What was Natalya wearing again as Boomer?
Yeah,
apparently
exactly.
something with a lot of cleavage.
Yeah, it's
What
like
is he
a
paying
pantsuit with like
attention to
her
right now?
blouse is kind of partway open probably. Fortune's he's just gone to the world. However, Boomer, a 9 is sufficient. You notice the very faintest of smiles. Just the corner of her mouth just comes up just a little bit. And she was like kind of leaning back with her hands folded in her lap. And she leans forward and she puts her elbows on the table and she clasps her hands together in front of her. And she says, "That is disturbing information. I think that something like that would be worth my time. What is it you ask of me, Oscar?"
In good faith, we will give you this information. I ask only that in the future you assist me in tracking down one person.
I think she kind of like has that kind of light tinkly laugh. She's like, "One person in the entire sector? That seems unreasonably difficult. But
They have been here.
that does help quite so much. Do you have information on this person? Or will this be
I can provide
goose
a
chase.
photograph, and perhaps we will see where that goes.
Photographs may work, it depends on the quality. I can certainly devote some resources to this. And for, obviously, your sake and mine, perhaps it is best if we do not explain reasoning behind this exchange of information. For either of us.
He nods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, clearly she picked up on what you were throwing down and, kind of met it in turn.
Yeah, so he I feel, he can't force this woman to do any, like,
No, that would
she
not
holds
be.
all the cards.
That
This
would-
is
This is your ace.
Yeah, this is trying. He's done everything he can up to this point. So he takes out the binder and he floats it over to her. And
roll me a mental effect save. Okay. Yep, you float it, no problem. It floats over to her.
mhm.
And her eyebrow kind of raises a little bit at your... It's probably at your, like, just bold use of psionics in her presence, just in general, based on your previous encounter. Because there's like a little bit, like, you probably hit a little bit of wall, and you're like, wait, that's not right, and then you just go right through it.
There is.
Yeah, no, you feel resistance. Like, you don't not feel it.
I would say that given the first encounter, he knew what to expect,
Sure.
and maybe this was testing.
Right, yeah, and then she raises an eyebrow, but she catches it out of the air. She opens it up, and she's completely blank-faced. No perception roll in the world would get you what you're looking for here. But she begins, like, flipping through it, flipping over the pictures. She nods a few times. And then as soon as she gets to the end, she closes it, and she says, "This will be sufficient."
So she didn't give anything away there, like not spending a long time on a certain page
No.
or certain picture or anything? No?
I mean, can any of you reach a 13 on perception?
Yes.
You can reach a 13 on perception?
Yes.
Okay, roll it.
I cannot.
If you can reach a 13 perception, roll it.
Well, that's not
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
would have
got
required
a 1
it
and a
would've
3.
She
I would have had to get
like-
two 6s.
since the start of the conversation, she has like put on her best political face, which unfortunately just none of you are apt to detect when it comes to that sort of thing. Perhaps if some of you had bureaucracy, that would be a better skill. But
I have bureaucracy.
do you? Go ahead and roll
Yeah.
bureaucracy for me.
Big money, big money.
bureaucracy,
Hey, we're in a
intelligence.
new hour.
It's gonna be
too.
wisdom. Wisdom.
We are in the new hour.
Come on. Reroll that shit.
A 9's not high enough.
Reroll it.
All right, then I will use my reroll for Oscar.
Sure.
Boomer, if you die, I'm going back to get you. Don't worry.
Now that we've established the
You're
important
gonna
stuff.
need just a little bit higher than that, I think. No.
Damn.
Ah,
Sad.
Yeah, so you're not able to tell. You're able to tell, like, she's got a face on, right? Like, she's purposely not giving anything away, but you're not able to tell, like, even the small signs. You're not able to detect based on what's going on there. But she closes the binder and she says, "This will be sufficient."
So I think
and
one thing, Jordan, that's important is, I think, be it whatever small amount of tact or business sense or self-preservation that Oscar has, he adds that hopefully this represents avenues for continued employment.
Sure.
And not.
Yeah, and I think that that opportunity probably comes when she says, "And your picture." And I assume you have like a digital copy of the photo you want her to look. Yeah.
He you know what? He asks, was that message from you earlier?
I think she looks confused for a moment, and she kind of like, does the confused look, head cocked to the side a little bit, and she goes, "What do you mean?"
Not a thing. And he he says, I will be sending it to you shortly on a secure channel.
She nods and she says, "Hopefully I'm able to help you as well as you have helped me."
Yep. That's
and
he has accomplished more than he hoped.
Yeah.
So
And she looks around to the group and she says, "Well, that'll be all. I'm sure that your fine friend here would like a few words with you, and I'd rather not be in the room while that happened." And obviously, Boomer, I assume you give her like a digital copy of your information.
Yes.
Yeah. She takes that and she walks out.
Actually,
and I think,
Jordan,
what's up?
I'm actually going to tell her that a copy of the photo is actually also with the information. Because I have a copy of the picture too.
Yeah, you totally do.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Yeah.
I just hand
You
it
can
off
just like
to her
slide it
all
in
one
like
go.
as file X on that that data send. Yeah, sure. Yeah, she's happy with that, and she begins to walk off. And I think the last scene, everybody like watches her walk out, and she grabs like Rudolph from the outside, and they begin walking and talking, and you can see he starts laughing about something, and then the group of you just turns around. And Giorgio's just standing up, and he's gripping the table so hard you feel as though he's about to break it. And